Welcome to day one of the half second faster challenge. That's always a tongue twister for me. And so we are this week, just get ready because we are coming live from Idaho, Drake's, Idaho. And so you're going to see a little bit of background, different backgrounds and everything. And so today we have Tina, who has come through the half second faster challenge and then the attunement class and the master class. And she will be co-hosting with the co-founder of Stall High, Kendra Dixon. Tina, we are so blessed to have you here today.
Well, thank you all for having me. I feel incredibly blessed. I got cold chills just watching Sunny read that and watching our Kendra and then seeing Sunny's moves, her change up through all this. I'm so excited to be here with the half second faster challenge. And honestly, who all of you that are on there, I was in your boots, so to say, at the end of March, 1st of April, just exactly where you all are at this moment. So I am incredibly blessed to be here with you all.
So good. Good morning, everybody. Howdy. Actually, we are in Teutonia, Idaho. Can y'all believe that? This is so cool for us to be in a new location for Half Second Faster Challenge. Tina, I'm excited that you're with me. Everyone say hello to Shelly Harris, who introduced our group this morning. You've got a bunch of team members behind the scenes here in Teutonia. Also, all across the nation. Sunny, say hello. She's one of our Colorado riders. We've got Foz, Ollie, in a whole other continent. It takes a big team to make this dream work. And I'm excited that you guys are here, that you've signed up for the challenge. All right, Tina, so we're going to start walking them through. Let's prepare them for what's coming this week because we do things a little differently at Stall High. We've been doing Half Second Faster Challenge for just over a year now. We started June 2023. We've got some amazing success stories to share with you. And just like Tina, and I love that you started with that. Like, I was where you are now in March. So just backtrack a few short months. And Tina, just kind of briefly explain what caught your attention about challenge. What did you experience and what's happened in a nutshell so far?
Well, that's a big one. So I'm going to try to condense it down as much as possible. Real quick, I have been around. My dad was a horse trader, cattleman, and so I always had to make my own horses. I've always been around horses. Rodeo has been most of my love and life, even though I did show pleasure for a while. And I had some bad experience in the past. I'm a college go time coach. I give riding lessons. A lot of rodeo kids. My kids grew up in the line of rodeo. But I feel like I can learn from everybody. And in the past, I had a really great horse, went to a clinician who was top pro lady. And my horse was giving me fits after drills and things. And she was hot. And the lady looked at me and she goes, "You're the problem." And I went, okay, if I'm the problem, but I never got an answer. So I kind of took away that and was always shy about going somewhere and hearing different clinics and people helping them out. So I've got a mare right now, Esther May. And last couple of years, we've been rodeoing, falling short. My husband's a judge. So, we always had one check coming home, but I was falling short. And last year, I'm like, I'm done. I'm going to sell my horse. And, whether a lot of people say fate or whatever, but I say by the grace of God, she didn't sell. I've brought her back home. It's been amazing to do this program with her. And what I have absolutely loved is if I knew it was a lot of me, and I'll take that, I'll own it, but I'm getting answers here. And I don't get on Facebook much. I had a horse that had an abscess and I happen to have time while I'm soaking his foot and I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see Stall High and I'm like, well, what is this one? Because I really had been looking for something to help me to get me to the level I was wanting to run with this mare. And I absolutely didn't know anything about Stall High. And you offer the half second faster challenge. I work for a tax office. So I'd come home every night and I watched it at night, still kind of going, what are we doing? This is great. I'm seeing things. And from there, I went into 21-day attunement. I'm almost done with my master class. I am seeing incredible things. you know, when you reviewed me, which I think we're going to show one of the runs, I remember when you told me to walk down that alleyway with my horse a big distance before I let her go. And I'm like, yeah, right. How am I going to do that? Because my mare lets me run. She's either I got to let her go or she'll rear. And
Okay.
I think if you see the bottom one, this was just a couple weeks ago. This mare, after doing everything I'd learned from half second faster to attunement into masterclass, this mare walked up the alleyway like she was drugged, and she was so quiet. She was so
Like
quiet.
Queen Esther.
Yes, Queen Esther. At that
I
point,
love it.
oh my gosh, it works. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I don't have the best first. That's where we always lose. That's where we always are short of the money. And we're getting there. She's starting to come
100%.
around on that first.
Yeah. You can already see a difference. Shelly shared the video with me this morning, and there's so much I want to talk about with this video today. So let me kind of go back to our challengers, the new challengers who are here. What brought you here? How did you find out about Half Second Faster Challenge? Did someone like Tina, who's already been in the challenge and now in some of our online courses, invite you? Did you get an email? Did you see something on Facebook that caught your attention and you thought, well, what do I have to lose? How did you find us?
I'm seeing Instagram, Facebook,
Instagram,
Facebook,
Instagram. Okay.
Someone invited
So now
me.
I want you guys to comment. I love it when we're active. Okay. Interactive. And some of you may have gotten a personal video from me. Shelly and I were driving, like just the first couple of days on the road, we were able to do some personal messages and send out. And I think we sent out about 50 of them. And then our trip took a few unexpected turns. Has anybody had an unexpected turn in life where things don't exactly follow the map or the GPS and you think, man, this is a little harder than I expected it to be? Is that resonating with anyone with your horse? That was literally us getting here. And so we weren't able to send out more, but I'm curious, tell me about your biggest accomplishment. And some of you may be like, well, I don't feel like I've really accomplished much in barrel racing yet. I'm still new, or I'm not that competitive yet. That's okay. I want you to describe your best ride to me. What was so great about it?
Horse finally relaxing. My third.
Finally relaxing. Third barrel. What else?
Feeling in sync.
Feeling in sync. Okay.
Getting back on after injuries. Been there.
Back on after injuries. That can rattle your confidence. Do we have any pro barrel racers? Are there any pros on this call with us? Any fellow pro riders? What's your biggest accomplishment?
Clocking 2.2 off of girls winning big rodeos. Biggest accomplishment, running my horse home after a fall. All right, good. So a lot of personal stories of overcoming confidence. Yes, a lot of
any fellow pro riders? Okay. Was anyone here successful as a youth rider? And as you advanced to open competition, you, like me, you got your butt kicked? Are you starting to question if it's an age thing? Well, maybe I am getting too old. Maybe I need to think about another passion at this age in life. I was a successful youth rider. Thought I peaked then. Just started running at 48. I feel I'm too old. Retired in. We're going to talk about. We're going to talk about false beliefs this week. So we're going to start to really talk about what's holding all of us back. And 100%, it's not what you think. It's not what we've been told. I want to encourage you to stay with us. We're going to have some difficult conversations this week. When you stick with us to Friday, you're going to understand why. So there is definitely tremendous light at the end of this tunnel. This is the beginning. This is day one. If you are not, if you're not one to accept change very willingly, okay, if change does not come easy and you're like, yuck. So when I coach youth riders, for example, I'll say, what's your favorite food? So everybody right now, comment your favorite food. Favorite food, everyone?
Steak, pizza, spaghetti, Alfredo, sushi, crabs, Italian, anything.
Good.
Steak,
Ooh,
steak,
all
steak.
right. Steak, steak, steak. Okay, typically when I coach youth riders, the ones who are the pickiest eaters, ouch, not always youth, are the ones the least willing to change. So how many of you like trying new food? Do we have anybody
Yes.
here who actually enjoys tasting and experiencing new foods?
Yes, yes, yes.
You,
I do.
this is going to be your jam. Y'all are going to get it. You're going to make connections and you're going to be like, this is it. This is it. These are the answers I've been searching for my whole riding career. This is it. If you don't like to try new foods, if you kind of always like you have the same things in your pantry, you go to the same place to eat every day, there's your sign. This may not be for you. And it's okay. It's probably for you, but it's not the right time. We are not offended if you gracefully back out this week. No one's going to know if you just don't show up to the Zoom. But those of you who are ready, I need permission to coach you. Do I have permission to offend if it helps you run a half second faster? And if it helps you or prevents you from causing harm or stress to your horse that maybe you didn't realize was harmful or stressful. So if it helps your horse physically, do I have permission to step on your toes this week, to step on your boots? I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm not going to put anyone down. I'm not going to call anyone out. I'm calling every one of you up because you're capable of more. Do I have permission, Tina?
Coach and offend. I see that. Yes, absolutely. Offend me. Earlier, a lot of the people were chiming in. They're here because of their horse. They want to be better for their horse. They want to, they love their horses, and how do I be kinder to them? How do I teach them the things that you're talking about? But absolutely, I'm seeing yes, offend.
Good. This makes me happy. This is so easy, y'all. An 8-year-old can do it. My little niece is 8. We're starting to teach her this new riding style, attunement. And I'm so excited for young riders like her that we can influence early so that they don't have the problems that those of us, Tina, who've grown up in the sport and we've grown up riding and running barrels basically our whole lives, we have to go back and unlearn what we thought was right. But now that we're finding, oh, it's actually not mechanically correct for the horse. That's actually causing harm. That's actually, if my goal is to get to the NFR, right? How many of you want to get to the NFR? If it's not the NFR, what is your goal in barrel racing? Go ahead and put it in the comments. Here's the goal. Everybody's riding. We think we're getting closer every ride to the goal. But our stride coach, you're going to meet later this week, Michael Richardson, he said, here's the truth. You're actually riding in the opposite direction of your goal, but you don't even know it. So I believe every one of us on this call ride better than we think we do. Those of you who struggle with confidence, you ride way better than you think you do. But there are some things, there's some information that's missing. And that's what we want to be able to fill in the blank for you. We want to provide those missing links. Keep in mind, this is the beginning. It's a piece. My heart's desire is that this free challenge give you more than anything you've ever paid for in the sport. Tina, back me up. You've been to other clinics. You've invested in training.
Yes.
How is this different? I think the hardest part for people who've played the game for a while is going to be changing our mind.
Yes. How is this different? First of all, the top thing is, I've always said, because we've been in rodeo for a long time and all the way through my kids to where we went out to Gallup, New Mexico many years to the nationals. I've always said, when you rodeo, you have family. And if you broke down, you've got family. There's people doing to help you. And now I say, if you've got stall high, you've got family to help you through. You become a community here that is positivity, that lifts you up. And the more, I'm a person that can kind of stand up on my side and back and just kind of watch and not have to be the group and monitor things. but I know other people have to get in there and then they get the mental. And I've always tell those I help, I'm like, rodeo or running barrels is mental, or even horse shows. If you're out here from another discipline, it can be a little bit of mental. And here you have got somebody, you've got coaches, you've got the stall high team, you've got Kendra to lift you up and be a part of it. And physically, you know, like I said, from my story, it was like I was told it's my problem. And I'm like, okay, I'll own it. But what is it? And I get results here when I get stumbled and go, okay. Or when I go to our live Zooms that we get to go with our coaches, I'm excited. I can't wait to get back to the barn and go, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Or maybe it dusted off something I knew from years ago. So that is the big thing that I have taken away from here, is that the community and the help. And like you always say, I'm not calling you out, I'm calling you up, because you and the team want us to be our best. And I'm seeing people have an NFR dream here. They want to go to the NBHA finals. They just want to go to their local show and win a buckle. That's awesome. Have your dreams, no matter what level. This will help you. This will help you become part of your horse, and learn so much that you know,
There's
you can't even
so
imagine.
much more. There's more. How many of you want to know more by the end of this Zoom than you knew when you started it? Comment, I want more.
Yes.
Here's your next assignment, y'all.
More.
We're getting into the nitty gritty. Okay, we're fixing to take a deep dive. Everybody to comment, because this is very important. And I want you to go back to this. This is day one, if you're new, of your stall high journey with us. You get to decide how far you go. Okay, day one, everyone type, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. You need to hear that. I want you to soak it into your muscles, your mind, your heart, because you're going to have to go back to that foundation many times this week and many times going forward if you decide to continue riding with us. It's not my fault. It's not Tina's fault. It's not Lori's fault, my sister-in-law behind the camera. It's not Shelly's fault. It's not our parents' fault. It's not our instructors' faults. It's not our heroes. So those riders that we have esteemed for having so many credentials and they've accomplished so much in the sport, you're going to see things this week, especially if you're in the backstage with us for those live demos. You're going to see things that are being done that we've all been told are the right way to run barrels. We're gonna prove how false that is. And I want you to know it's not your fault if you're still doing them. Okay, this is your opportunity to see a brand new way. So I want everybody, if you're driving, don't do this. If you can, I want you to cover your eyes, okay, and open them. So we're going to do this as a physical act to bring some meaning to this week. What's going to happen this week, you're going to realize that you've been wearing some blindfolds. We're going to take them off. So we all have blind spots in the way we walk, the way we talk, how we pronounce words. Anybody on here guilty of that? You pronounce the word or you mispronounce a word, but you've said it that way your whole life, and somebody calls you up and explains like, well, actually, that's not the real pronunciation. And you're like, are you kidding? I've called it Chester drawers my whole life. Huh? What? So if you really want to know truth from your horse's eyes and what they're experiencing, you're going to fill in a lot of blanks, and it is very easy. Pedro's ready to get going over there.
I thought you were gonna tell on me, because I told you that story when we was driving up here, that song from Alabama. It says, honey, come take your coat off. And forever, I thought it said, take your clothes off, and I thought, why would that kind of song on the radio? And I thought that's what you
Oh, you're throwing it way back, hon. You're talking to the 80s ladies. How many of you remember that Alabama song? Like, come on in, honey, take your coat off. Come on in. Yeah, that's funny, Shelly. I laughed so hard.
Sing it your version.
Tina, let's go ahead and hit them. Are y'all ready? Let's get to the meat of it. Y'all been very gracious to let us get through the introduction. So we've taken our blindfolds off. Okay, let me prep you guys. there's going to be some old mindsets that are going to want to push back on the new this week. The biggest thing that's going to hold you back with results is what I call yeah, but syndrome. Those of us who suffer from yeah, but syndrome, there's a cure for it, but you have to take the medicine, and that is truth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but my dad always told me, yeah, but my trainer, yeah, but I've always been told that bend and flex was good. Tina, let's get to the first lie. Top 5 lies this week. Let's start with number 1. We've all been told bend and flex. A horse has to bend and flex to be successful around the barrel. Bend and flex, bend and flex, bend and flex. How many of you have bought that lie? That has been your protocol. Before you even ask your horse to leave, you ask him to bend around and look at your foot, left and right. Sounds good, right, Tina?
Yes, ma'am. Been there, done it.
Were you doing it?
Oh, absolutely. Especially when especially when pleasure horses and, teach you, and come around to that foot and now what I know, it's like, oh gosh, what the push pull that you're doing to your horse with that bend and flex, and been there, done that, not doing it anymore.
So everybody, if you can, if you're at work, if you're driving, don't participate. But if you can participate, how many of you, by the way, have been taught that bend and flex is like the number 1 prerequisite? You're doing it right now. Like that's what you do before you ride every day, or that's what you drill or you practice, bend and flex. Is anybody doing that right now? Here's your first hard truth of the week. If you can participate, everybody drop your chin to your chest. Try to take a deep breath for me. Pay attention to how far down the air goes in your body. Women, does it make it to your bra line? Or not even? Does it make it right here in the middle of your chest? Yeah. Now I want you to take your chin and tuck it to your shoulder and try to breathe for me. Is anybody experiencing some pain in your neck? When you look to your shoulder, does the opposite shoulder want to lift? Now go the other way. Put your chin on your neck. Y'all see how I can't touch this one? Can y'all see the difference? What, am I stupid? Do I just not know how to bend and flex?
Lost you, Kendra.
Kendra, we lost your audio. You're on mute.
I lost my audio. I'm on mute.
No, you're
Somebody, you're back.
You're back.
Okay. Can y'all see that when I come this way, do you see I'll have more rotation? Now watch. My chin doesn't go as far. Do y'all see the difference? Now, if I were a horse, okay, trainer on my back would be saying, what are you, stupid? You just don't get it. This horse just can't bend and flex. I just gotta, let me just put a spur in him. Let me just crank a little harder. Let me go get a martingale. Let me go tie this horse back in the round pen. What are we really doing, Tina, when we teach a horse bend and flex?
We are impeding their breathing.
What?
We're impeding their breathing. We're stopping that breath for flowing through their body to do their job.
Can y'all breathe very well when we do that? Imagine if you had a rope, a shoestring, and somebody like is pulling your head down and your airway gets closed off. Look at this. Here's the water hose. This is your horse's airway, right? This is your horse's airway with bend and flex. How well can you perform without oxygen? Anyone here plays other sports, or you have played other sports? I find it funny. You mentioned coaching, Tina. We spend more money on horses our equipment, our horses, our trucks, our trailer, the land, the vet bills, the equipment, everything, probably than any other professional sport in America. However, we have the least amount of coaching. Even high school basketball students get more coaching than barrel racing students. Why do you think that is?
Oh, well, I think we have a family in the community around us that's telling us all these different things when we're going to do our sport versus going to one specific person. And as I'm reading here, a lot of people, I do that. And they do have a trainer or a coach. And now your eyes are being opened just with the simpleness of a hose to show you. And that's what I started out with, is you get an answer right away. Kendra just told you, let's do this. Where's your breath? Okay. It's locked. It's same way with your horse. And this is what we're doing to our horse. Not to mention even talking about get to us and how we're breathing.
They're not stupid. Horses are actually a lot smarter than we are, but we treat them like they're dumb. And we keep them in kindergarten a long time, and we're very disciplinary. And if that doesn't work, let me try a brain chain. Let me try running martingale. Let me try draw reins. Let me try a different bit. How many of you, if there were a buckle this week for who has the biggest bit collection, you would win it? Actually, there's not a prize for that. But all of those bits, all that does is represent unsolved problems. It's been a mystery. What has been your biggest mystery?
Hey,
We're
Shelley,
going to talk about that today in the Backstage Pass.
I see it. I can't see her, but can hear her. So Shelley, can you just check or pause? Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
It lost me. Okay.
Are we good
Am I
now?
back?
Everybody?
Okay. Your big old pile of bits, right? That big pile of bits that you've invested in. How much have y'all spent on bits over the past 2 years, 20 years, 40 years? All those bits represent are unsolved problems. Now, I believe a lot of top horsemen will agree there's one bit they can ride any horse on. And there are different bits for different purposes. I sell bits. I have my own signature line that work for this program. Primarily, they're the same, just a little different mouthpiece depending on the horse so that we can support the horse better. But if I had to, I would choose one. But that big pile of bits, all that money, all of those questions, did they solve the problems for you guys? Now that you guys are starting to open your eyes to, oh my God, I had no idea Bend and Flex did that. Well, why do horses seem so defiant? Wouldn't you be defiant too if you couldn't breathe very well? Now, open up your shoulders and try this. Oh my God. How deep can you breathe now? How far down does the breath go?
To our belly.
Better? Tina, let's go back and watch your run.
Yes, ma'am.
Shelley, will you pull up that run? And then Tina, if you'll kind of walk us through the before and after, then we'll go backstage.
So my before actually is at a big mega show. I actually was winning. I won the 3D in the open with that run. And as Kendra says, what if you'd gotten your first? What if you wouldn't have ran her from the alleyway so far back and she lost all of her steam? So that was my top run there. It was a winning run, but I look at it and go, where could I have been? And then the bottom run, I have been through attunement. I've in some masterclass, halfway through masterclass. This was just a couple of weeks ago. I did what we've been learning on the outside. And it's really hard because sometimes I'm standing there going, well, shouldn't I be warming my horse up, loping circles and doing all these kind of things to my horse, bending?
Shouldn't I bend and flex?
Running them down the fence and pulling them back. And as I'm watching these girls they were girls, all of them girls, with different eyes. I've always had an eye that like, oh gosh, why are you doing that? Or I've looked at it and go, maybe I should be doing that. Two different things. But But my mare was
Here,
on
Tina.
the backside, just quiet. Her head was dropped. I got on her. They called my name and I literally walked her around. My husband was videoing it, watching, and we were both going, oh my gosh, because I kid you not, if I'm in an alleyway, especially at rodeos, I have to just let her go because I don't want to fight her and I don't want her to rear. And this, the bottom one, she literally walks up the alleyway with what I have learned through Stall High. And it was amazing. And I heard Kendra in my ear, I'm riding with you. That's the kind of coaches we have. And I still have work, yes, but I am seeing results that just, when Kendra told me this is what you got to do, I'm like, right. How am I going to get my horse to walk up the alleyway that far?
Yes.
You see
No
her
drugs.
and you can see her.
No drugs.
Center. And she would have
Mom,
walked up to the barrel if I'd let her.
Yeah. So did you give her any drugs?
Absolutely not. I've never given her drugs.
Did you do any drills?
I did not do any drills. I did what we've been taught in our attunement, how to ride in a tune with my horse. That was the big part. And then here's the other thing. I have that run at the top is in my saddle of 5-inch candle that held me in with rubber bands. I've run over 30 years with rubber bands and that same saddle. I don't switch a lot of things. The bottom, I threw away my rubber bands and I am riding in the bullseye saddle. And what a difference.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that this week. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how rubber bands are costing you so much more than just a half a second. Today, we're going to demo bend and flex so that you can see the difference in my horse. And Tina, what I'm really excited about is that this is so much easier than what we were ever taught. It requires less money, it requires less time, and you get faster results. The hardest part is, I think, changing the mind and being willing to slow down long enough to learn something new.
Yes. Kendra, I will also
have y'all enjoyed this? Yes, Tina.
I will also add, I was ready questioning quitting. I was like, am I done? Because I just when I went to sell my horse, I thought I'll just back up. I'll ride the horses that I have in the barn, roping horse. I was ready to quit. And I'm excited now when I go to the barn with the things that I'm being taught.
So is that you? Anyone else? Is anyone else at your breaking point? This is the last straw.
So Kendra,
I know maybe it's time to hang it up. Shelley? I
know we just got a few minutes left before, it's 1 o'clock, but I just feel like I want to share it. Can I surprise Tina with this picture real quick? And then we'll just go deeper about this picture in the backstage. I just can't take it anymore. Okay.
It's like Christmas.
Yeah, Tina. So I know it's not the exact angle because it's not always the easiest, but I'm telling you, you can tell. Look at the stride difference. Look at your body and everything. Yes. And so
can y'all see that?
Yeah.
Look at her reach on that bottom one.
Yes. And look at Tina. So look at Tina's posture in the top before. You see how there's kind of a curve to her body? Look at her horse's top line. It's imitating that same curve. We're going to talk about biomechanics of barrel racing this week.
Wow.
Every angle matters. Every angle matters. And when we ride like Betty Barrel Racer, or I call her Betty Drillmore, okay, the traditional way or the mainstream way, it is going to be in direct opposition to a horse's biology, to their anatomy, and to simple physics. So if you are like me and you hated math and science in school, you're going to love it now because it's going to help you ride your horse better. And it's going to help you get those results you've always wanted that have seemed like a mirage. They seemed elusive. Like, why do I get so close? But then it just falls apart when I haul the rodeo. It's amazing. So let's talk more about that backstage. Everybody tell Tina, thank you for being here. Shelley, thank you again. But what I really want you to see is the live demo, bend and flex. And you can see the difference it makes. There is a different option and it's way easier. And your horse, you're going to see a new horse start to develop in minutes. All right, we'll go backstage. I want to say thank you again to Carol Peterson. I met her the other night at the Teton Valley Rodeo. When we first rolled into town, we go to this open rodeo, and I'm telling y'all what, it's impressive what this community does for their youth riders. They have a rodeo just for them, and anybody can come enter. But to see the community support these kids is amazing. We don't see that a lot these days. Some of us had it when we were kids, but not like this, not like Driggs, Idaho. And when I walked up there, because we were looking for a place to have this challenge, I was looking for a facility when we roll into town. I run up to the rodeo secretary's office, and this lady said, "I'll be with you in just a minute." So she directed me back to the sign up booth. She comes walking in, and I introduced myself, and she goes, "Wait a minute." She goes, "I have one of your bids." And it was Carol Peterson. How wild is that? And she's run barrels pretty much her whole life. She's roping now. Her arena is beautiful. It is pristine. The ground is flat. She's opened up her ranch to us to be here for this challenge. And if you know Carol Peterson in Teutonia, Idaho, please reach out to her and tell her thank you. Her ranch is amazing. She's doing great things in her community. She's making sure that our next generation of new leaders get the support and the experience they need. And it was very impressive. So thank you we're here at the Running for Cover Ranch in Teutonia, Idaho. And I want everybody, if you know her personally, to reach out and give her a big hug and a thank you for allowing us to be here for the challenge.
Bye, everybody.
Well,
Thank you.
But to understand what we've all missed, will you talk a little bit about what flexion really is, how the whole industry has it wrong, or only
Right.
half truth?
Half true. Well, you're right. And I think that, again, this week, when I met him years ago, I'm from a back, so I watch, I observe and I witness movement patterns. And so the decades of experience that I have with me and my colleagues is that we understood that movement patterns gave a lot of information as what was happening in the body and in your nervous system. And so those movement patterns that we have, that we hold, that we carry, that we move, that directly affect the nervous system, communicates to our brain. And Michael Richardson, and he has these beautiful movements for his horses, and he has no feeling from the second abdominal down. And I knew that day when I was with him, and I said, when I'm seeing.
We lost your connection. Try going 3 steps forward.
Yeah, we lost you just for a minute there. So we lost you when you started talking about Michael. I still don't hear you.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, so
Okay.
I don't know where I left off, but that's the study of movement, understanding how movement patterns affect our nervous system, how we communicate. And there isn't anything closer to a human's walk than a horse. And so as that information started coming together for us, and I met you, Kendra, and I watched you ride, and everything was so intuitive. And what we began to explore was, what was the languaging that was happening? And it began to unearth, and it began to open as wide as the horizon. And so as we began to have these conversations, I knew that these conversations would change the trajectory of how horses were being trained and being related to. And so as you understand attunement isn't something that's a nice concept, right? It's how I feel about my horse. Yes, it is how you feel about your horse, but how attuned is my own sensory system? How does my own body move? If I want the horse's body to move, if I want a shoulder in, or if I want haunches in, can I differentiate those movements in my own body? Because if I can't do that within my own body, how can I ask that of my horse? And I can guarantee you, if you can't do that with your own body, what you're communicating and how you're communicating to the horse is getting disrupted. Lots of disruptions. Ooh. And so as we began to talk about that, we kind of broke down that concept of bend and flex. And so as we were talking one day with Michael, he said, once you bend and once you pass the somatic marker of a horse, these are the words we're beginning to flow. What happens is the horse disjoints him or herself from the hind end. Connection is disrupted. And what happens if you don't have their hind, you don't have their mind. And so what we began to understand, and we began to as I watched how he moved with his horse, and I said, well, what you're getting is flexion. And flexion isn't a like that, right? Sound effects. Flexion is I take a breath in, and from the energy of the horse's hind end and from my body, I take a breath in, and there's a beautiful, just gentle flexion from C1 and C2 of the horse. When you have that C1, C2 initiating that movement, where you initiate movement absolutely matters. You get a gentle flexion, and the muzzle comes in, and then they shape their body with that flexion. They just don't go like that. Because if I do this, what happens is my hip is displaced, and all of a sudden, I've really lost connection with my feet. If I'm here and I start to flex, see how I rise? That feeling of energy coming up from the hind leg into that flexion of that shape. That's what you're looking for. So it's a different concept than bend and flex, right? But I think if you hear that, and I can't, I don't know any feedback that I might be getting. So you guys let me know if there's any questions. And Kendra,
I lost you, Leanna. You went mute again. Okay. Do y'all see why we love and respect her so much? I can remember the day when we lost Kendra too. All right, we'll check my pink phone.
No,
Check
Kendra,
connection
no,
on my pink phone.
we
all right.
hear you. You just don't see you.
Okay. Okay. They don't see me, but they can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. Let me know when you get it back, Shelley. Can y'all see why I love Leanna so much and how she's changing our lives?
I think, Leanna, they are so in tune with what you're saying. Nobody's chatting. It's like they're very much watching.
It can be a little stunning moment. So y'all see the difference in my horse right now. I knew what I felt, Tina, but I really didn't understand the biomechanics of real flexion. So everybody write the word flexion, Flexion.
We're getting that
Real
flexion, but
flexion,
Kendra,
or
you're frozen. We
true.
don't see your picture.
I'm frozen. Yes, y'all don't see Pedro moving around.
No, ma'am.
But your audio's good.
Giovanna,
Yes, audio's
I
great.
dropped a marker out of my. Giovanna, I dropped a marker out of my pocket. Audio's great. All right, so we really have never seen, or it's not been explained to us what real flexion is. Thank you, Daniel. What we've been told was flex, bend and flex, is actually suffocate and freeze. So Leanna, when you have audio back, I want you to explain. We honest to God, legit, have fallen for a big fat lie when people tell us that it's going to loosen up the shoulder. It does the opposite. Right. It actually freezes the shoulder.
And it constricts their diaphragm, so they can't bridge. And you have to think of the diaphragm is the bridge between the hind end and the shoulders. So you compromise that, and you have lost stride, you have lost performance, you have lost oxygenation.
Put that on her.
You've lost so much once you compromise through the what I'm going to say, the artificial bend.
Y'all are back. We see you, Leanna.
Artificial bend. We're back. Artificial bend. Horsemanship. Right. Oh, everybody thinks they're just great horse trainers. Horsemanship. Forcing a posture, completely unaware that it's suffocating your horse. And you said the word diaphragm.
Bridge.
I wonder, guys, have you wondered why so many horses are bleeding on the circuit today? Why do we have such a bleeding epidemic? Is it because they haven't been long trotted enough? They're not in shape enough? Maybe we need to go swim them. Maybe we just need to plug them with a little higher dose of Lasix. I am getting so passionate about this dadgum Lasix bullshit because our horses are suffering. And all we're doing is putting masking tape on their voice. They can't speak English or French or Spanish. They can't text in. They're trying to tell us with their body that there's a big fat problem. We have bought into a flawed system, not intentionally hurting our horses, but they are bleeding from their lungs because they cannot get full use, not full capacity. Am I right?
Absolutely. And their diaphragm, again, it's a bridge from their hind end to their front. And so you compromise that, and that's where you're going to see a lot of breakdown in tissue. You're going to see a lot. I mean, it's going to be, there is consequences, long-term consequences to that. The cost will be very high.
Breathing machines. What's a breathing machine go for today, guys? I'm not saying they're bad machines and that you shouldn't own them. I've owned one before. But if we're the ones causing our horses not to be able to breathe, and we're shortening their lung capacity, why we're trying to solve the wrong problem. We're trying to solve a problem that we're actually creating, and all we have to do is change our mind, change the way we ride, change the way we think. I want y'all to write this down. Are you ready? Here's your next one. 2 words. You're going to radically change your riding career. Are you ready for it? Question everything. Those of you who are willing not to take offense, but to latch on to this new information and question every single thing you've ever been told to believe, spoon-fed, or watched all the big dogs doing, I want you to question everything.
They're
Start
coming
with a
in.
fresh slate.
They're coming in, Kendra.
Listen.
Question everything. 59 are on. They're said, preach it.
Preach. Thank you, because I'm so passionate. I'm getting chills right now. Me and our other strike coach, Michael Richardson, are going to they're bringing radical change to everything we've known and esteemed as horsemanship. You're about to realize how much force we've been applying, even though it's just light pressure. Well, over time that adds up. And who's really the judge? Oh, she has such light hands. Leanna, I have been complimented my whole life that I had such great hands. Right. You're so light with your hands. You're so light with your hands. You're so light with your hands. And when you said, well, y'all should cut me deep. Are y'all ready? Just because you have light hands doesn't mean you're a light rider. What? I thought you were talking about somebody else. You were talking about me. And let me tell y'all what, she ain't talking about our weight. So let's just flip words for a second. Use the word soft instead. Just because we may have soft hands, that doesn't mean we ride soft with our body.
Correct.
That doesn't mean we land softly in the saddle. We're buying into these lies that we need deeper saddles and shorter seats and big old bear traps, and all that does is just bam, bam, bam. It causes us to hit with a harder force upon impact. Well, what does that do? That tears up our pelvis and our back and our muscles. The shock upon impact reverberates. It goes down into the horse. We start tearing up their SI, their hocks, their ankles, their coffin joints. We make them back sore and body sore, and everybody's barking up the wrong tree. I'm very opinionated about saddle fit, and we'll talk about that later this week. But my gosh, the biggest thing is not really saddle fit. It's how do we distribute our weight? What are we doing with our bodies that is causing the biggest damage, the worst damage? How we were taught to ride is flawed, guys. That's the hard truth of it. The good news is there's a simple fix. There's so many, there's answers. I think we make the mistake sometimes when we expect it to be instant, like we could just write a check for it, like buying a tube of Go Fast, Wonderful Paste, or Calm Down, Amazing Pace, Win the Race Pace. Somebody's probably going to use that name and start a new supplement.
Hey, Kendra, I think you'd like this one. Somebody said, I have soft hands, but I ride stiff as a board. I think we'll all relate a little bit of that.
Who said that?
There's one, Crystal.
Good job, Crystal. Very well said. Very articulate. So Leanna, will you talk us through flexion right now? What do you see? Actually, let me back up a minute. Shelly, will you share the before image of Pedro when I was trying to demonstrate bend and flex the Betty barrel racer way?
And while you're getting that video, I just saw real quickly, I could glance at my phone and I saw somebody said that's used soft hands, stiff body. And what that tells me is you're stuck in functional freeze.
What does that mean?
Functional freeze. It means that the stress that you carry in your body has locked down the muscles, but not just the muscles. You're talking about the fascia, and that functional freeze is that my body doesn't really move in concert. There's suppleness has been lost in your own body, right? And so we have to unfreeze those muscles and unfreeze those movement patterns. We have to free you up. in order to be able to ride attuned and responsive, right? But that's a functional freeze state. If your hands are soft because you've been able to work with that, that's amazing. But what you're feeling in your body is that functional freeze, fight, flight, freeze. That's the freeze state. And so that could be, you know, I don't know, it could be years of like riding injuries or traumas of any sort. But that trauma is not allowing us to be able to soften the body so that we can have true access to what I call our postural muscles, not just our big motor muscles, right? That's a lot of what we see with horses is they can power through, but they've lost control of their postural muscles. They don't have access to that. And so the same thing goes with us as well. And so when that happens, that we lose connectivity to our own nervous system, and then our capacity to communicate to the horse is compromised.
Okay, did y'all catch the part about it's not my fault? That lady just set y'all free. You can go out there and do it the hard way for 65 years if you want to. But if you latch on to what she just said, she just told you there's something going on in your body. You do not need a new horse. You ride very well. Are you capable of more? Isn't that why you're here? Do you want to know how to ride in a new way that gets better results, that doesn't suffocate your horse or cut off his oxygen supply to his muscles?
Marcia says, please free me
cerebral
up.
spinal fluid. Free me up. Let's go. Shelley, show us bend and flex as I was trying to explain it. Okay.
It's
So
playing.
Tina, I can't see the screen. Tina, tell me what we see.
Very tight. He's using, well, the opening in the mouth is one of he's like telling you it's just not flowing through, and he is fighting. It just looks like a fight. And now there he's using his front end versus moving with his back end. It's that typical, if you don't have their hind, you don't have their mind.
Well said.
And he is really bending around, just like we had kind of talked about, that locking up the breath.
And the shoulder. Do y'all see the shoulder stabbing?
Yes.
Stab, stab, stab in the ground. His back feet are stabbing in the ground as I'm trying Betty Drillmore's way, and Freddie horsemanship. Bend flex.
Just like
Leanna,
we talked about the mirror. If you look at you, you are mirroring your horse is mirroring you.
Oh,
you have reflection. Locked in your breath as well as your horse's.
So, Leanna, what's different now?
Oh,
talk about natural flexion. What do you see happening now?
Natural flexion. So you see that you're having to force his head and neck into position. You've got a lot of C1, C2 movement. Head is doing that beautiful up, down, and side to side, which means you're getting this beautiful spinal wave and flow that we talk about or begin to talk about in attunement. There's a softening of his body. You can really see his hind end engaged. I can see all the muscles working. His feet have become lighter. If you do not have light feet or a light footfall, question everything. Because if you hear horses with very heavy hoof steps, that is telling of so much tension in the body. So the footfall is very light. There's flexion in the hock. Again, the shaping of him is beautiful. There's an ease of movement. As he moves, so do you. And you begin to see that coming together, that mirroring effect and that one-on-one, and it's effortless. Beautiful.
Y'all see the difference? Tina, if you will, please call on someone. I want somebody to tell me about your first day in the backstage.
Oh, also too, and look at that reach and his walk. I have to say this is, you gotta look his stride. See how his stride is beautiful. I like reaching up underneath him.
I like if you just look at his eye, we're so distant from a video, but you can just see the energy of the eye, the softness, the ears.
Very soft. Yes.
On that. As far as
very engaged.
I look at Marcia. He doesn't look like he's happy. He's understanding. Well, he does understand. Interesting. Has heavy footsteps. So Marcia, are you out there? Tell us about this. Your first time?
Yes, ma'am. It is my first time. How are y'all?
Well, welcome.
Good.
Coming to y'all from Alabama.
Woo!
Nice.
Hello,
Got,
Alabama.
got that accent.
It's hot here, guys. It's hot.
That's why we came west, my dear. So
I hear
what
you.
brings you to have Second Faster Challenge?
Well, I've been barrel race. I was the one that started barrel racing at 48 years old. So I'm running against all these little 14-year-olds. And I'm also a barrel racing producer. So I see a lot of sides of the industry.
Mhm.
I decided to produce to meet new people in my new area. And I've met a lot of people. What I noticed in the flexion when you were flexing in the arena is I noticed a horse that just didn't look happy. He looked like, okay, I know what you're asking me to do and I'm doing it. And yet I don't feel happy. And when you said about the heavy footprints, I hear horses coming down the alleyway like Thor.
Come on.
You and I think, man, what a beast. And I've never thought until now, the bell went off in my head. Well, that's a horse that's in pain in some way, potentially, or they're so tense,
or they're headed that way.
Right,
they're headed that way. So I want y'all all to make that connection. Thank you, Marcia. So when y'all hear that fire breathing dragon or that silverback gorilla storming down the alley, that is the sound of money going out the door. That's the sound of a big fat vet bill. That's the sound of injections. That's the sound of calming pace. We got to calm them down. Well, how would you feel if you hurt and you were forced to go run? And we have falsely said they get so excited. She just gets on the muscle because she loves her job. She does not. That horse is stuck in fight or flight. Am I right, Leanna?
Yes. Yep. That's exactly it.
We've been told they're getting amped up to go perform. However, I want you to question everything. And when you really understand what's happening in your horse's mind and in their central nervous system, which is the whole thing, you will start to hear and see things differently. And I believe we are called here for such a time as this, today, right now, to do something about it. Stop complaining. It's not a mystery anymore, guys. We're finding all of the answers. What we have esteemed as pristine horsemanship, it's got a little ways to go. It needs to improve. It's time. It's time that we listen to our horses. Marcia, thank you. Somebody else. This is your first time backstage. How did today hit you? How are you processing this new information? What did you see?
What about you, Miss Janet? I think have you been here with us before?
100%. If that's Jan Bly.
No.
Another Janet?
Dana Culver. Where are you at?
Dana.
Can you show us?
Dana, I think I sent you a private message, didn't I?
Hi, yeah, I'm here.
Hey, where are you from?
I'm from South Dakota.
Oh, awesome. Fantastic. What'd you see today? Are you glad you're here?
Yeah. I'm stiff. I see that I'm making my horses stiff and I'm making them sore and I need to learn how to loosen up.
You want to know
the light hands and stiff body? That sounds like me.
So what I love about Leanna, because I've gotten frustrated as a coach, as someone with a lot of passion in my heart to change the industry and the sport of barrel racing for over 20 years, when somebody first set me free and helped me see what others don't. Admittedly, I would get frustrated with some riders. I'm like, what the hell? Why can't she do that? Like, why is she breathing on that horse's face? Why can't she? I just showed her how to do it. Why isn't she doing it? And I would get mad at some of my students. That lady right there set y'all free. Camera back to her. Kendra. It's just like the horse. They physically cannot do that. What? Connection's not happening for them right now. What? It's not your fault, guys. You got blind spots. Once we know what they are, they're surprisingly simple to solve. What do you mean, Leanna? It's not our fault. We have like a stiff body. We can't just go take a yoga class and change that.
That's correct.
Why?
Yeah. I think one of the best examples is, when you're younger and a child's learning how to ride a bike and they're riding a bike like this and somebody calls their name and they do this, right? And then they tumble because they haven't figured out that on that moving bike that their head and neck can move and that their torso can actually adjust, attend, and come back to center, right? Simple example, but very profound, because what Kendra was talking about is that when, where we initiate movement matters, but if my pelvis cannot engage rhythmically with the upper part of my body, and I know everybody's like, well, everybody should be able to do that. We can't. If we're stuck in functional freeze, we're locked in and we're moving in segments, right? We've lost a sense of flexion, extension, rotation, which we talk a lot about being part of the fundamental movement patterns for a horse. Flexion, extension, rotation is what's going to keep your horse supple. It's going to keep your horse responsive, right? But that responsivity is not trained through because will. It's not that responsivity isn't going to happen because I get a new tool. There's nothing that you will buy or purchase that will ever replace the way in which you ride. Nothing. How you move your body is going to be what communicates with your horse. Now, I'm not saying you don't need tools or aids. We all do. But make no mistake, it can't replace how you ride.
Giovanna, will you hold this horse for me, please?
Well, you guys are doing that.
Someone's going to take over her behind the camera.
Taylor's like, oh man, I'm ready to go jump on my horse. Taylor, I always feel like that when I'm with these ladies in this team. You're ready to always get out there and do what they're showing you and telling you and talking you through.
100%. It's a brand new way to think about what we've always been taught or told, or what we've seen, the big dogs winning. I vividly remember the day, because I really dreamed it when I was a kid, but I didn't really think it was going to happen. I come from a little bitty town where they don't dream very big. I remember my driver pulled up the standings, the WPRA world standings, on our computer at home. Number 4 in the world, Kendra Dixon. And I was like, really? So as someone who's ridden her whole life, was able to get into the top 15 world standings. I'm going to back away because I hear a lot of echo. We back up here.
That's better.
That's better?
That's better. Yes, ma'am.
It was more than I dreamed as a kid. And so part of me was like, well, who am I to ask for more? I should just be happy with what I've accomplished. I didn't realize my own blind spots. Even being able to train a different way, have my own signature style, and be able to take a reject cutter or a ranch pony. See, I typically don't go to the designer labels like the running bred horses. I grew up on the backside of the track. I paid my penance there. I've done my time around race horses. I like horses that are more level-headed and with a lot of a lot of ease to their hindquarters. That's not to say that I haven't ridden appendix horses, kind of a combination of both, but to be able to take a pretty simple horse on paper and take it to the 1D or make multiple pro rodeo earners in my career, I thought I'd accomplished something. I've been very proud of my credentials and my accomplishments, and qualifying for the Texas Circuit Finals 5 times. And maybe that's you. Maybe you've already been to the national finals. That's where I want to get. I didn't understand why for 9 years in a row did I have to sit home when I outran every horse that went to the finals for nine years in a row. Can y'all imagine what that feels like? I couldn't even bear to turn on the television. It hurt me so bad. I was just heartbroken. It seemed like every year something would come along. Either my horse would get sore, I didn't have health, finances would fall apart, like something weird every year that we would climb in the top 15 and then the rug would get pulled out from under us. And I honestly thought as a Christian, it was spiritual warfare. Maybe some of it was. But what I am learning now, I'm like, if I'd only known a fraction of this sooner, my life story would look even more, it would be even more of a fairy tale. And that's what I want to encourage you guys with. It's a moot point looking back. So take the information right now. What are we going to do with it going forward? Leanna, thank you for being here. You came all the way to Idaho.
Wouldn't miss it.